Welcome to this webinar on achieving more as a college in Microsoft Teams with CloudBox. So just to tell you a bit about ourselves before we start, we're a team of education teams and SharePoint experts, and we support over 320 schools, including colleges, further education, across the UK and some of them internationally. Here's a quick slide from one of the DFE EduTech demonstrator schools that we work with here in Hull. This is a Microsoft Showcase school as well, and we worked with them to deploy Teams and also create a centralized SharePoint resource area, similar to the one that we're going to look at today. So I guess I'll start off by going through the benefits that we add on top of what you already get out of the box with Teams. So hopefully you're using School Data Sync to create your class teams. And if you're not, then we can help with that as well. And one of the problems you probably have come across already is that as a teacher, as a tutor, when I'm creating resources for my different class groups I teach, I'm having to do that over and over again for every team that I teach, every single academic year. And it means that as a course leader, I don't know which resources are being used in which lesson. So one of the solutions that we have is to centralize those resources. So as a teacher, all of your resources are in a single place, and you can reuse them with all the classes that you and your colleagues teach. So hopefully saving you time by having a single version of the truth. And also giving the course leader the confidence that people are using the best quality resources in their classes. And we've also got some analytics as well, which we'll show you on how you can measure how well staff are adopting Teams across the entire college. So we also create SharePoint intranets, and that's a place where you can publish resources to wide audiences across the entire school. So again, we'll have a quick look at that and how you can use that to improve communication across the college. And we're trying to make it an enjoyable experience, as easy to use as possible, and hopefully an improvement on what you get out of the box. And we really like to help people long term, to make this a long term solution, not just for one academic year or for a pandemic. It's about making it a long term solution so that as a college, you have a solution that lasts every academic year. And as part of that, we create a long term strategy with you to get it well adopted in the school. So part of that is the training sessions that we provide. So we're a Microsoft Global Training Partner. We provide some CPD certified sessions that teachers can jump on, and they get their MIE badges for attending those sessions as well. So we build confidence with that training. It's also about automating it and saving IT time by automatically putting everybody in the correct class teams and also the correct course areas based on the college's MIS data. So this is a process we normally go through to adopting the solution with the college, and this is probably a plan that you might be going through at the moment. So initially you'll have that vision for the college, for the school, and it'll be about communicating that vision to all the staff and the students about where you want to be in a year's time, 2 years' time. And that might include your wider digital strategy, so it might include things like devices as well. In terms of this project, we see it very much as a teacher learning led project, so giving some key people ownership over the project. So some digital leads, some curriculum leads as part of the project will really help drive the adoption and give them some ownership over these areas. Again, it's very much a long-term solution. You may have been using file shares or unorganized team structures previously. And again, we want to make this a long-term solution. Everything doesn't have to change overnight, but it's really important to have that long-term plan to make sure that you're progressing with it. So typically you might have a term where you run both the old system and the new system side by side, where you train people up and get them confident using it. Then the next term, you might decide to make the old system read-only, and then the following semester, then you'll make the new site live and disable the old site or the old file storage. So it's about not overwhelming staff by changing everything overnight, but making it clear, making sure that they're confident using it before you switch it over. As part of that training, we definitely recommend adjusting your plan based on the progress of that training. So again, it's really important to make sure that nobody's left behind on this journey. Some staff will already be going off and doing amazing things inside Teams, and other staff will need a bit of extra help because it might be the first time they've used it. So when you do train your staff, measure the progress, adjust your strategy if you need to. If things are taking a bit longer than normal, it's absolutely fine to slow things down and adjust your plan while you figure out those problems. And in other colleges, you might find actually it's going really well. We can actually speed this up. And again, that's absolutely fine. So we're going to jump into a demonstration now. So I'm going to go into this demo college called Cloud College. And this is the SharePoint intranet. So this is the first thing I'm going to show you. So we'll look at SharePoint, we'll look at Teams, and I'll show you how they both work together, and everything that I show you is accessible from both Teams and SharePoint. It doesn't matter which platform you're using. So we'll start off inside SharePoint. This is Cloud College's homepage. This is the page that staff and students land on. You can see we've got the college branding and colors across the top. And we've got a people web part here with a profile picture, word of the day. We've got some news from around the college on here. I've got some links to important policies and procedures, accommodation. I've also got the assignments that I've been set inside Teams. They filter through onto this homepage, and also any teams that I'm a member of. And I've got some wellbeing resources, welcome, lots of nice, big, attractive pictures to make it really easy to navigate around. So this is just a starting point. As you use it, you'll edit these pages, and it's really intuitive to change the layout and add your own content and adopt it as you decide how you're going to use it long term. So across the top, we've got the school logo and the school colors and the mega menu. And this gives me access to see all the sites and teams that I have access to in the school. So this will be personalized for the individual. So I'll start left to right just to describe the different types of sites and teams that you might have. So we've got communication sites, and these are sites where you're publishing resources to large groups of people throughout the school. So it could be things like your policy information, information on the library site, anything that most people will see but they can't edit. Bit like an internal website. So, for example, you might have a library site where I've got Meet the Librarians, Books of the Week, Countdown to World Book Day, and maybe the library team can edit this page and only the students can see it and the staff can see this page, but they can't edit it. You might have more of a document focused site. So, for example, on this staff site, I've got some policies, I've got staff handbooks, I've got send information, I've got daily, weekly staff briefing, and I can go into these. I might have some staff only news on here as well. I could go into one of these policy libraries, and some of the benefits of using SharePoint is you can streamline some of those business processes that you might have in the college. So in this example, I've got a list of policies in this library. And what I've done is I've quickly added a time and date column, called it expiry date, and color coded those so I can quickly and easily see which policies are out of date. And there's even an email reminder I can set to get an email a few days before those policies expire. So that's a really basic example of how you can streamline those business processes. But you could have, CPD requests, leave requests, those sort of things could eventually be brought into SharePoint lists and libraries. When it comes to your collaboration sites, so these are teams where they're available both in Teams and SharePoint, and they're a space where you can collaborate in a secure area with the members of that team. So really long term, this is replacing things like staff shared folders that you might have had previously on network drives. This is the cloud version of those. So again, you can only see the ones that you're a member of on here. And if I jump into one of these teams, you'll see that I can see all the channels in that team. So I can jump into one of those channels and work on one of those documents. There's also an icon which I can click on to take me into the Teams view of this, where I can do my chat, do my video calls, collaborate. And Teams is a great interface to work together and to collaborate when you're working on your documents. Inside Teams, I could just click Open in SharePoint, and I could come back into this view And this is great for document management. So if I wanted to look at things like version history or see the recycle bin, then this is a great place to do that because I've got all the advanced document management features that SharePoint gives you. I've then got my courses and my classes. So these are all created automatically from your MIS system. So we work with all UK MISs. So in a college you might use Unity, Pro Solutions, and again that contains all your timetables and your different classes that you have that are part of those courses. So each of those groups will get its own individual class team each academic year. So in a typical college, you might have 5,000, 10,000 of these created, depending on the size of college that you are, for those individual teaching sets. But one of the problems with this is that these exist for one academic year, then they become archived off, and you get a new set created for the new academic year. And you might teach a number of different sets, but you might want to use the same resources. And your colleagues might want to use the same resources as well, and you might want to use those same resources year on year on year. So the problem with using Teams is you end up with lots of versions of the same document having to do the same work over and over again as a teacher. So what we do is we create some centralized long-term course resource areas, and these are created as a permanent space where you can store those central resources and you can reuse them with all the classes that you and your colleagues teach. So for example, I've got an A-level English language course here, and I can go into that course, and inside this course, I've got some staff resource areas only staff can access, and some student resource areas that students can see, but they can't edit. And this might be, any resources I'm going to use in the classroom. And one of the features of using SharePoint is I can search across all of these documents. So I can search for Of Mice and Men, and it'll bring back all the documents with the words Of Mice and Men in the title, but it'll also look into the contents of those documents as well. And we add in some education-specific tagging, which is completely optional, but teachers can tag it with a particular exam board, with a particular key stage that they might be teaching. And that will help the user drill down into those documents and find the relevant resource. And as you scale up over time, you'll potentially have hundreds of thousands or millions of documents inside SharePoint, especially if you're a group of colleges working on the same tenant. So search becomes really important, and you'll find that students and staff will be using iPads or Android devices, and they'll probably just be using the search feature to independently find those resources. So it's encouraging independent learning by making those resources available to students where they can find them quite easily. So those are your long-term resources. And like I said, these actually link in to the individual classes that you might have that you teach or that you're enrolled on as a student. I can see also previous academic years. So if you've had the problem that your class teams are archived off and nobody can find them because they're quite difficult to find those archived class teams, then there is an option in here to go back in time and see any archived classes in that frozen state at the end of that academic year. So that is another feature available in this dashboard. So I can select on that class team and I can jump straight into that class team for this English language A-level group. So I can jump into that class team, that'll open up Microsoft Teams and it'll go straight into that team. And if you're using Teams already, you might just be going straight into Teams as standard. That might be your first way in. And again, that's absolutely fine. Everything that you can do in SharePoint, you can do from the Teams interface too. So I go into that individual class team, and again, I'm assuming you've already seen class teams and you've already used it. If you haven't, then check out one of our other videos where we go into depth in how you can use assignments and grades and class notebook and all the other features inside class teams. What I will show you is some of the extras that we're adding on here. So this is an English language A-level group, and I might have, 15 of these. If I'm a fairly medium-sized college, might have lots of different teaching sets for that English A-level. And one thing that we do is we automatically add on an extra tab for those centralized A-level resources. So every single English A-level class, every single academic year will automatically get this tab added, and see all those resources that we just saw inside SharePoint. So it's the same resources, I'm just seeing it from inside every single class team. So as a student and as a teacher, I don't even need to leave the class team to access those long-term resources. And you might have differentiation for different groups of students that you're working with. That's absolutely fine. You can copy one of these documents into the class team if I wanted to make some changes, or even better, share it with your colleagues as a differentiated resource so that you can, again, reuse it if that particular requirements ever come up again. So that's available inside all those class teams. And also those resources are available in assignments too. So if I go to create a brand new assignment and I go to attach a resource to that assignment, because those SharePoint sites are also teams, I can go into Teams and go into English Language A-Level Central Resources, and I can grab one of those resources to use in my assignment. So I can grab one of those worksheets and attach it into that assignment. So it means that you've just got one version of the truth, one place to store your documents, and you can share them across the college. So I'll just discard that example. One other thing that we create is we create, under the Files tab, a student work folder. Every student has their own folder in here. They can only see their own folder, but the teacher can see everybody's. And this is a place where you can store files that you want to use, where both the teacher and the student can see it. So any long-term classwork or coursework that you're working on throughout the academic year can be put in here, and both the teacher and the student can see it. Now, if it was formally assessed, I'll probably set an assignment. If it might be some written work, I could use Class Notebook. But for anything else, there is the file student folder area. And that just helps you get around the problem of having to store it in the student's OneDrive, click the share button, remember where all those links are, which is really difficult to do. So the idea is to keep everything within the context of that class team. And actually, back in Class Dashboard, I can select on a student and go straight into that student's folder. So open up that class team for that particular A-level language group, and it goes straight into Susan Abbott's folder, just to make it as simple, as easy as possible to jump into those work areas really quickly. So you'll probably find that there's some insights in here that you get out of the box, and that's great for measuring student engagement. There's even the Microsoft subscription insights for the whole college as well, or the whole tenant, so you can see all the other colleges in the group. But what it doesn't really do is it doesn't give you an overview of how well staff are adopting it across the school. So that's something that we provide as part of our portal. And inside here, you'll get a view of how well assignments being used across the entire school, so usage over time, some stats. I can sort it by course as well, so I can see a list of courses. I can drill into one of those courses and see how well that course is using it. I can drill into an individual group, and I can see the assignments that were set, when they were created, and when they're due. So that's great at sort of making sure that work's being set, but also if you're trying to find out, how you're going to arrange your CPD training, which areas might need a bit more extra help, then you can use this to see which courses, which departments are using Teams to set their assignments and which ones might be struggling, and then focus your CPD time on those particular areas. There's also a cover manager in here as well. So the idea is that you don't have to be added to every single team inside your department, because the resources being used are good because everyone's using the same central resource bank. You also know that teachers are setting works. You've got the assignment analytics. But if you did need to observe a lesson, or if a teacher's off self-isolating, ideally you do it in the MIS, and that syncs all the membership across. But we know that's not always possible, so you can use this as a flexible approach to grab a teacher and inject them straight into a class team. I can put them in there for a temporary period, if they're self-isolating, maybe 10 or 5 days, whatever it is now. Click Save. They'll instantly add that teacher into that class and then automatically remove them at that particular date and time. So it just gives you a bit more flexibility when you need to make adjustments, and you can delegate access to this portal to your data manager, somebody else in school who can manage that for you. There's also a site creation tool in here as well. So if I wanted to create extra intranet sites, either team sites or communications, then I can go in here, fill the form in, training team, add it to one of the mega menu options, add in the owners and members, click save, and that will create the team. It'll add it to the mega menu. It'll create it with all the best practices. So it will create it as a private team rather than a public team. So you don't get those data breaches in the future. It'll create it with the right naming convention, and it will add the web parts to the page and set it all up for you. So again, it's just trying to make it simple as possible, and you can delegate that to somebody without making them a global admin, without giving them Teams admin access. So you're still probably going to want a policy in school to make sure that everybody doesn't create lots of random teams. So you still probably want somebody to check this before they create them, so they can say, yeah, there's already a team that exists, I'm just going to put you in that one. Or, yeah, that's a good idea, let's create a brand new team. And if you've got multiple colleges in the tenants, then we can also separate this out by college, and you can delegate access per college rather than give everybody access to everything. So back in Teams, what we do is we create teams for all those class groups. We create subject teams. So this is the same as the subject site that you just saw inside SharePoint, but this is a staff-only area, staff-only team. But again, I can still view the student resources in here. I can still reuse those with all the classes that I teach. And we can also create departmental teams as well. And these could actually span across the colleges. If you've got more than one college in a group in a single tenant, then you can hopefully encourage some collaboration between the teachers in the different colleges. So again, we can automatically populate this with all the science teachers across all the colleges and put them into that one team, that one staff-only area. And we also create an all-teacher and an all-staff team for each college in the tenants. And one very quick last thing to show you, that SharePoint intranet that we saw earlier, that's also available within Teams as an app. So we automatically add that as an app in Teams. So if you have already adopted Teams really well inside the college, then they don't have to go anywhere to get access to SharePoint. They just go to that app inside Teams, and they can access all the same resources that we saw earlier from SharePoint with inside Teams itself. So in terms of the solutions that we offer, everything that we've looked at today is in all of our packages, Silver, Gold, and Platinum. The only difference really is user adoption and the training aspect. So the user adoption and the training in Gold, we help you with the user needs analysis, training needs analysis. So you group people by ability level, what course you want to put them on, and then they have some trainer-led online workshops. So they're instructor-led, they can ask questions as they go along. They're in small groups, and they can ask questions. The instructor can help them as they go through that. So it's very hands-on to gain some confidence using it. It's CPD certified, so they get a certificate for attending it. They also get MIE badges if they attend 2 or more hours of irrelevant courses, because we're a Microsoft Global Training Partner. And in addition to that, there's also a self-service training portal. So if you've got staff who are onboarding on a regular basis, or maybe departments want to do a bit of their own CPD training, then there is the ability to go into a site that we create for you, and you can access all of the courses on here. These courses, they can watch the videos, do the tasks, and at the end of it, they've got a quiz to gain their CPD certificate. So with the Platinum package, we offer more additional trainer-led workshops, and we also have a digital strategy report for leaders. This is where we survey all the teaching staff at the school, and then we put together a report based on how they're using Teams in the classroom, your analytics, and how it matches with your digital strategy, and any improvements that they need to make to progress, and any ideas to help encourage Teams innovation in the school. So I hope that's been useful, and there's some further contact details on the screen now. So you can get in touch with us via the website. There's a contact form on there. Our email address is on there, and our telephone number. And if you do have a camera phone, you can point that at the screen now, and If you turn on your camera and point it at the QR codes, it'll take you to our Twitter page. So lots of tips and guides on there. Our newsletter, which is a monthly update of all the new features coming to Teams and anything useful in education. So again, really recommend signing up for that. The YouTube channel, again, lots of guides and free videos on there that might be useful. And the Facebook community, which is a community supporting online educators. So that's a private group that you can join on there as well. So I hope you found that useful. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch.